Stacey, if you could find yourself in the most dangerous city in the whole United States, you are there. What were you thinking? Truth be told, I wasn't thinking. It was 1979, I was 15 years old, and I was huddled in a phone booth with my 14-year-old best friend. We were stranded, we had no money, and we had just escaped a situation that could have changed our lives forever. But in order for you to really understand the predicament that we found ourselves in, I need to take you back a week or so, when we had convinced our parents to let us take the casino bus from our hometown in Huntington, Long Island, down to Atlantic City, where Karen's dad, that was my best friend, he was gonna pick us up and take us to his beach house in Ocean City, New Jersey. The casino bus was easy. You got on the bus, you went down for 4 hours, but the best part about the casino bus was that when you got off the bus, they handed you a roll of quarters. So we each had like $20 just for riding the bus. But Karen's dad was waiting for us, so we took those roll of quarters and we tucked them in our bag and we carried on and jumped in the car and started our vacation. For me, going down to Ocean City, New Jersey and staying with Karen's dad was the best vacation ever. See, my parents were really, really strict, and Karen's dad, not so much, but we used to just, kind of chalk that up to the fact that he saw us as the mature and responsible teenagers that we were. So we could go on the beach all day and sunbathe, and at night we would hang out on the boardwalk with no supervision. It was a super fun trip. And that freedom just constantly had me daydreaming that Karen and I were in this some sort of like made-for-TV movie, coming of age, and we were like the stars of that movie. And so it was just the best vacation ever. So when it came time for us to go back home, it was a Sunday, and Karen's dad informed us that morning that he needed to drop us off at the casino about 2 hours early because he had to leave and he had to catch a flight to Chicago and he had a business dinner that night. So that's what Karen's dad did. He dropped us off in the middle of Atlantic City, and as we waved goodbye to him, we were planning what we were gonna do for the next 2 hours. Now I'm looking at some of you, and some parents out there are probably going, what father drops his 14-year-old and 15-year-old friend off in the middle of Atlantic City in the 1970s? And for those of you who don't know what it was like then, it was a really sketchy place then. But again, Karen and I thought nothing of it because he saw us for the mature, responsible, teenagers that we were. So remember those quarters? First thing we did, we beelined into the casino and started playing the slots. And within probably minutes, all of our money was gone. And mind you, that was the only money that we had left. We were smart enough to kind of hold back like $1.50 because we were hungry, and we clearly had a whole bunch of time to still kill before our bus was leaving. So we took that $1.50, we went down to the boardwalk, and we bought a hot dog, a can of Tab, some French fries to split, and we just sat on the boardwalk and we people watched. We talked about what we were gonna do for the rest of our summer, and it was just the best time. We were just caught in the people watching and all of this. We had no worries at all. Until all of a sudden we realized, oh my gosh, we have to go catch our bus. So we grabbed our bags, we started running back to the casino parking lot, only to find out that the bus had just left. So fear and everything just came over me. And because remember I told you my parents were really, really strict? Well, they were the ones who were picking us up on the other end, and we were not on that bus. So I think in a louder than usual tone, I started just screaming and saying, Karen, you don't understand, my parents are going to kill me. I'm gonna be grounded forever. There's gonna be I'm never ever gonna be able to see you again. I don't even know if I'll be able to go to school anymore. I'm just gonna be locked in my room. And Karen, in a louder than usual voice, knowing my parents and knowing that to probably be true, said, just calm down, Stacey, come on, calm down. And we looked around and we noticed that we were kind of making a scene, so we decided that we would calm down, and we went into the bathroom. And while we were in the bathroom, I was probably fixing all the makeup from all the tears that I was crying. And Karen and I are over at the sink, and we notice right in between us is a bowl filled with money. We didn't even say anything to each other. We just nodded, and our plan was we were going to just take a few of those coins, put them in our pocket so that we had money, because remember, we had no money. So that's what we did. We reached in, and the next thing you know, there was a hand that grabbed both of our wrists. And attached to those hands was a very angry, angry woman. She proceeded to tell us that she was in charge of keeping the bathroom clean, and that was her money, those were her tips, and that we were stealing from her. She pulled us in the corner and told us to wait right there. Well, of course, if I thought I was going to get grounded forever for missing a bus, I was like, how the hell am I going to be able to tell my parents that I'm arrested in some sort of jail in Atlantic City? So I started to cry again, and we were panicked. And much to our surprise, the woman came back, but not with the police. She came back with a couple girls. They were a little bit older than us, and they were so nice, and they just kind of took us underneath their wing and kind of, moved us out of the bathroom, and we went and sat down, and oh my gosh, they were beautiful. They had like the best hair. Their makeup was perfect. They were ready to go to the disco. Like, they looked great. And what Karen and I noticed the most was, I know everybody gets their nails done now, but back then, nobody got their nails done. And they had the best nails. We just kept staring. So anyway, these girls were really, really kind. We started bonding. Of course, I told them how strict my parents were. We told them how not strict Karen's dad was and how he left us in Atlantic City. And then all of a sudden they said, we've got the best idea ever. Why would you go home? Come with us. We have an apartment. We have a room. We have clothes. Come on with us. Like, it can be so much fun. Like, why would you want to go home? And Karen, your dad wouldn't even notice, and and all that. Well, that was the first time in my life that I felt that thing in my stomach. I call it my spidey senses, and Karen felt it too. We knew that we weren't going to go home with these girls. We knew that there was something a little off about that. But we also had that theft thing hanging over our head, and they were the ones that kind of helped us get out of that. So as we were making our way to the car with them, I'm thinking inside, I'm like, what do we do? Just run for it? Like, how do we not do this? I saw him, and our eyes locked. And he started making his way over towards us. And I don't know if he knew the girls, but the girls started stepping back. And he came over and he said, girls, to Karen and I, not our girls. Did you call your parents and let them know that you weren't on that bus and that you were going to be on the next bus? Karen and I were like, no, we didn't. So he said, come with us. So as we went to say goodbye to the girls, they were gone. They made their moves and they were out of here. So we got to the payphone. What were you thinking? Mom, could you put Dad on the phone? My dad was always calm, cool, and collected, and he knew what to do. So my dad got on the phone. He asked to speak to the gentleman. They talked. Next thing you know, Karen and I were on the bus ride home. And I remember, like, it was 4 hours of no talking. I just had my head on Karen's shoulder, and I think I was praying the whole way up 95 North. So when we got back to Huntington, my dad was waiting for us, and we got off the bus, and he just hugged us, and he held us like just a little bit tighter than usual. He talked to the bus driver, handed him some cash, and then we dropped off Karen, and when we were coming, when we got to my house, my mom was up, and I was waiting to walk in there and to hear how disappointed she was in me and how could I have done this and get the yelling and all that stuff out. But instead I walked in and my mom just grabbed me and she held me just a little bit tighter, I think mumbling, thank God, like over and over. And she said, why don't you go to bed? We'll talk tomorrow. Go up to bed. I'm thinking, okay, this is cool. Went to sleep. The next morning, I went downstairs ready to meet my punishment. And it was like a normal day. My parents were getting ready for work. My little sister acknowledged I was home, but nobody asked me about any of it. Not even the trip to Ocean City. So I remember running up the stairs and calling Karen going, you are not gonna believe this. I am not grounded. We get to hang out today. What do you wanna do? And so Karen and I continued to hang out that whole summer and many, many more summers. Went on tons of adventures together. And we never did tell her dad or her mom because we didn't want her dad to feel bad. And we also didn't want to kind of ruin that whole thing that, he thought we were mature and responsible. And as an adult, when I look back on it, I thought that was really weird. Like like we never got grounded, like I never got yelled at. Nobody even asked us what happened. And I learned that back then, when bad things happened, people didn't talk about it. And I don't know if it was because if you talk about it, it makes it more real and it's horrific, or if you talked about it, you open yourself up for critique and judgment. We also didn't talk about human trafficking back there. So Karen and I had no idea of the real danger that we were in. The gentleman at the casino, he knew. My parents, I think, knew. But again, we just didn't even know what it was. And so, as I look back on it, with the exception of understanding and we should have been educated about human trafficking, I'm kind of glad that worked out that way. Because Karen and I, first of all, I never got grounded, which was a good thing. I got grounded other times, but Karen and I, again, got to have other adventures. We got to make new memories, and that day and night was just one scene in that coming-of-age, made-for-TV movie that we were starring in. And in case anybody is wondering, because I'm sure you're all wondering right now, what was the #1 song and album that July? No other than Bad Girls by Donna Summer.